Hey everybody, welcome back to the Author Nation podcast. We have the ever popular Elizabeth Ann West.
Hello everyone, this is awesome.
Yeah, so this is, we're at NINC.
Yes, St. Pete Beach, Florida.
Yep.
So.
And we're doing our podcast Huddle Up. This is, there's going to be a bunch of people we record here, so you'll get used to this setup we have. But it's, we've had, what, two or three podcasts we've done on AI.
I think we've done two so far, yeah.
So they figured it's about time, another update. I was looking, we just put out the other update, and while it's still pertinent and relevant, it's like, we would have to do these dailies to stay on time.
I'm not going to lie. When you put it out, I was like, dude, we recorded that in July. What are you doing putting it out in September? You make me look like, I don't know what I'm talking about. It was recorded in July, y'all.
Yeah. Well, for some people, it's news.
Yes, they might have been on vacation this entire summer. I get it. So it was still a good update. And yeah, it is still pertinent, very much so. And Canva's like exploding now with AI. I actually just got into their AI beta program yesterday. I got the email, so I get to try all the new features.
Cool. Well, why don't we do our usual thing? You guide us through the wild and woolly world of AI and what's going on and the new stuff. I know I've seen some of the things that have been coming out, and everyone's assessing Strawberry and all the other new stuff. So I want to get you're kind of my person I trust with what's going on for writers.
Well, I appreciate that. I think Strawberry, for those who don't know, it is the model that literally just came out last week. Their naming convention is dumb. There's just no other way to say it, because it's now ChatGPT 01. We're just going to start over. Yeah. I don't know why.
Do over.
But it's ChatGPT 01. Now, for those of you who have been learning about chain of thought prompting, and I believe we've talked about this before, like the AI does not think. It does not think. It's going to make you believe that it's thinking, but it's literally just still predicting that next word. But what you can do is you can kind of simulate thinking, just like you would with a toddler or something like that, where, what do you know about outlines? Now write me an outline. So it's prompt after prompt after prompt that are related. That's what a chain of thought prompt is. Strawberry does this automatically for you. So they have this new thing called reasoning tokens. So for people who maybe don't want to learn chain of thought prompting and everything like that, you can just now be asking questions inside of ChatGPT with ChatGPT 01, and you'll see it say like it's thinking, it's analyzing this, it's doing that. It's actually doing a bunch of prompts in the background that you don't get to see, so that your final answer is something that has been enhanced and refined by the AI.
Interesting. So what that makes me think about is, for me, part of the power of using AI in whatever process that I'm working on is that recipe, my proprietary recipe that I bring to it, that, the chain of thought and thinking through like, okay, here's how I'm going to get it to either give me specific results or to kind of fill my creative well. Am I thinking about this right, you're kind of handing that off to the AI now?
Yeah, and it's actually not very good for creatives. So I think that Strawberry is a good step forward for a lot of the maths and the sciences, programmers, really logical fields. And there are authors who like it, especially for their marketing, because it's really good at like coming up with marketing plans, and because it can think through all those steps. But when we ask it to write, and I have a YouTube video on this, it actually says, Strawberry sucks. It wrote badly. It wrote like William Faulkner level 4 sentences for chapter 4 and went into chapter 5. Like, there's no reality, unless you're like literary highbrow, that makes sense. But in genre fiction, you're not going to write a chapter that's 4 sentences and move on to the next one.
Yeah.
But I will say that I think it's important for creatives to still learn the chain of thought prompting, especially if they want to use AI in their creative process. And I think that that's important because, like you say, your prompt can change radically with just one word. I know you met Ben right before we did the podcast here. We were working yesterday with screenplays for AI. And saying write in screenplay format with Mistral versus screenplay formatting made the world of difference of the AI actually being able to write in an actual screenplay format. And Ben was shocked because he was like, are you kidding me that the difference between format and formatting makes such a big difference, and it really does. And we're the language experts, so we can actually pick up on those nuances in our prompts.
Oh yeah, and some of the stuff that I've seen people working on around, it's that wording choice and prompting can vary depending on what LLM you're using.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yeah, that was Mistral.
Yeah.
We didn't have to use formatting for Claude. Claude got it with screenplay format.
Yeah.
We used just screenplay for ChatGPT 4.0 mini. So it's like you have to practice with these things. Even if you don't want to use them right now, practice, get familiar with it a little bit, because we're going to keep getting new models, and then that way you're building up that skill set that you may have to change your prompt a little bit depending on what model you're using.
Sure. Well, and so like one of the things I've been doing is, as I'm learning stuff from either you or other people, and one of the most powerful things that I've found is being able to fine tune these projects and build out my recipes, right? Like, okay, here's all the things that I've learned about copywriting.
Yeah.
Right? And getting them into one file that I tell it to always go look at that, right? So can you talk a little bit about that and some of the stuff that, you're doing around kind of that fine tuning and...
Dude, you just set me up perfectly. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but no, fine tuning just got a huge upgrade in two very important areas for authors. The first one is that Mistral is now able to be fine tuned, which means not safe for work. You can now make a fine tune. This is something that authors who write romance and maybe like serious thrillers or horror, stuff like that, they've really been kept out of the playground, so to speak, because the foundational models will say like, I can't write that, but how about we have a discussion about the literary merits of romance or something. That's Claude, for those who don't know. Claude often objects. And now with Mistral, which is an open source model produced by a company in France, the three men who founded it, they started off in Google DeepThink, so they left Google, started Mistral. You can now fine-tune Mistral. Mistral is very affordable. It's like $3, $9 for 1 million tokens, which is like 750,000 words, so it's very affordable. So that's one big advance that we just got in the last couple of weeks. The other big advance, which also ties in with Mistral, is we have a new format actually for your fine-tunes. So fine-tunes used to be, a fine-tune is like teaching a toddler how to tie their shoes, right? You have to show them how to tie their shoes. And used to be prompt response. So like all of your knowledge about copyright and everything like that, you would only be able to give it individual prompts and responses. Now you can give it entire chats as examples. So you can actually fine tune ChatGPT 4.0, ChatGPT 4.0 mini, and also Mistral AI in this format, this new format, where you're giving it examples of entire chats to really teach it how you want it to write back to you when you're going into these chat modes. So this really ties into that chain of thought prompting that we just talked about. If you have a specific chain of thought prompting that you like, and you want the AI to be consistent in how it responds to you, not like going off the rails or whatever, you can literally fine tune that now.
So, like, to double click on that, like, that means I would take I would go through a process and I'd be like really happy with a chat string. I would then copy that and then put it into, say, a project or like.
So we have a tool in the Future Fiction Academy, and we're actually going to be bringing this tool for free to everybody who uses Raptor probably in October, maybe November timeframe. We're still doing the testing on it on the back end. But you basically, we have created a tool for you to put that into a spreadsheet. And then it'll turn it into the JSON-L formatting that you need. Because writing JSON-L is really, it's a lot of curly braces, and if you miss one, your whole file's broken.
That's
so
not something that writers want to start doing.
Yeah, and we haven't talked about Raptor Write yet, but we are bringing a free fine-tuning tool just to make the data set for you. October, November. We actually planned it for Author Nation to kind of demo it, since I have that the Tech Cafe talk. So we'll be looking at fine tunes, because I think it's hard for authors to really wrap their brains around what is a fine tune. The best thing to do is to show them the plain AI writing and then the writing with the fine tune and going, oh, I get it now. I can make it sound like me.
Yeah, I've noticed that, like, for when I'm crafting an email series, having those fine tunes really help to, like, because it more so it's I forget all the stuff. Right? Like, there's just so much going on, and it gives you that ability to capture all those little nuances of things that are powerful when you're doing your marketing, right?
Yeah, and also, like, have you noticed that sometimes the AI just responds to you very, like, in a different format? 1 minute it's a bulleted list, the next minute it's doing paragraph form.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily an issue, but sometimes if you're doing a specific task all the time, like if I'm doing a newsletter all the time, I don't need a newsletter in bullet form. Thank you very much, ChatGPT 4.0 Mini. So when you fine tune it to be consistent about your newsletter, like how your newsletter should be in paragraphs, you always have like a little vignette or joke or something like that in that third paragraph. Then you can train it to where, okay, I give it the bullet points of my newsletter, and then it writes me the first draft, and then I'm going in and bringing in those human touches. And now I've done my newsletter for the entire year, and the time it took me to do one newsletter without AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, with some of the stuff we've done for the marketing for Rave, we have a really interesting situation because we're trying to find really profitable readers, right? Somebody who's willing to buy a $250 to a $500 ticket.
Yeah.
And while I had this idea of a marketing strategy to bring a cold person in and then warm them up.
The 21 to 35 day warming up of the readers.
Yeah.
For Rave.
So like the idea that if you have emails, if you get somebody's email, that we can convert them into a $500 sale. Like I can show you the data where that happens. But to do that, we have to go through a whole bunch of objections, help explain things, right? Did you know this was going to be in Las Vegas? Did you know that you're going to pick up your books there? Like, because we're so used to this different type of email or just e-commerce marketing where it's like, I need to make a sale today.
Right.
Right. If I didn't get the sale today, I don't care about this person. It's like, no, I need to get this lead, and then we're going to build this relationship. Well, I can show you the difference in results between kind of our first initial test campaigns, which was like Joe just writing stuff, hoping it was going to work, right? And then seeing, yes, it did work. Now, which were the emails that triggered? Like, which was this? Like, which were the ones that got the most opens? Which was the most, engaging stuff? Then going into the AI and saying, let's write a 45-day email sequence.
Yes.
And we're going to open up these loops, and we're going to do some, we're going to take 4 emails to get to this point, like explain to it in my recipe what I want it to do. And it was really, really powerful, kind of the bones it gave back. Like,
so are you teaching this class at Author Nation? Because it sounds like you should be teaching a class at Author Nation.
Let us figure this all out. This is the beauty of Author Nation. It's like I'm eating
next year, Author Nation 2025 email sequences with AI.
Absolutely, because we have this amazing data set now where we're going out and finding these types of readers for you. You don't have to do that. You just come to the show and we'll have them there. But we have to have that system down the road. Yes, we want to be able to teach authors if this is one of the paths that they're thinking about, like, hey, I want to go into selling some higher value stuff or, change my price points or do subscriptions. I think all of this is going to be really powerful stuff. And what we can give you that, the bones of that, it's that you got to make it fit for your brand, right?
Yeah. And I think authors are very short-sighted in the way that they think of their margins of like this new release. This book that I'm doing right now, they're not thinking about their entire catalog and what is that value and what is the value of a customer, of a reader who will come in and buy, all 50 of your $7.99 books. That's a much higher amount of spending. You don't necessarily want, we've been in indie publishing for so long, like we remember the 99-cent I don't want to say revolution. It was awful. It was not fun at all. But everybody had to be 99 cents at first, and it was all about like a race to the bottom. And I think we're finally having that race to quality with like, I'm watching some of my friends do these amazing like Kickstarters with splayed edges and like really custom things. And I'm watching indies like Matt Dinneman get picked up for these high-end hardcovers with trad deals and stuff. And I'm like, this is fun. This is great. We're actually making really great things now.
Yeah, this is where, at least for the Author Nation, we're really trying to get people to stop thinking about just certain platforms and just being a storyteller in the book format. Like David Vergoots is doing stuff with, what's crazy, he's making really, really, really good money.
Yeah.
with snail mail.
Oh, I believe it. Postcards are so affordable to send. One of the best marketing things I ever did was get cheap thank you notes, and I sent a thank you note to all my readers on my email list.
Yeah.
I got Christmas cards for years and things like that. Like, if you can do that personal touch, do it.
Yeah, well, and the whole idea of like, he's been, you know, writing for years and doing all the other formats that everyone told you you're supposed to do. You got to be in KU, you got to do this. He figured out a format that works for him. So he's using his storytelling superpowers in this format that he not only is he making the money he always wanted to make, but he has this deep, deep connection with his customers. They're getting stuff in their mailbox.
Yeah.
Right? He has their address, right? Like that's the whole idea of like what we're trying to do with the Rave event is like, these are your customers. You come away like there is no closer relationship with your reader than your belly to belly with them. Right?
Yeah, I did my first book signing at the, don't laugh,
I'm ready.
the Jane Austen Society of North America has an annual meeting. I was dressed up in full Jane Austen garb, and that was back in 2015, so almost 10 years ago. I still have readers from that signing event that are commenting on my chapters when I post, that interact with me on Facebook, that wish me happy birthday. I wish them happy birthday. So like relationships with your core readers can make such a big difference for your career. So I'm really grateful that you guys are taking Rave and really elevating it to that next level.
Yeah, and we're not saying everyone should do that. I know a lot of people are like, thanks, Solari, there's another thing I got to do. Right? Like, it's like, no, you don't. You decide what's right for you. And for some people, selling direct off their website, they're happy with that. Other people, selling direct means to them being like across a table with their books. We're trying to facilitate that, and I believe that we're in a time where people are really looking for ownership of your brand. Like if you create a really powerful brand around your storytelling and your characters and your world, people want to own a part of that, right? Your fans want the concert T-shirt. They want the books with the sprayed edges. And
Yes.
So do you have to do it? No, you don't. But if that's fun for you.
It's all fun for me.
Yeah.
It's all fun.
So let's not get off on too many tangents about Author Nation. What else do we need to know about AI?
Well, so
What came out in the last 20 minutes?
I don't know.
Check your phone.
My phone's over there. But I will say, August 19th, we launched RaptorWrite, which is a completely free platform for authors to use their open router key. We have a lot of authors that are using an API key for the very first time. An API key is just a super password. It's just a password that lets one program talk to the next. It's not a complicated thing. But they bring their key in, and now they can use all the different models. And we've made this software completely free. So you can just like put your chapters in, and you just press backslash and it'll continue writing your story for you. Or you can control like whether it just gives you like the next sentence, like maybe you're stuck. It's designed for authors to be able to be in the flow, and AI is there to help you rather than it. Like writing with AI so far has been very disjointed. It's like, oh, I go over to this chat, I do my brainstorming or whatever, and then I've got to bring it out of here and bring it over here. This is all in one space, and it's the space that we're familiar with. Your documents are on the left side, and if you have a character list and the AI needs to know that, you just toggle it on, and it's in the prompt. And you can click the binoculars, and you can see the prompt. Like I'm teaching people to use RaptorWrite in 5 or 10 minutes. It's that fast. And it feels more natural because you can just continue or you can highlight and revise. That's it. Those are the two main functions. That's all really authors really need for AI writing. They can export everything saved in their browser. At no time because I don't believe in companies storing writing on their servers and everything like that. So it goes to Open Router, it goes to your browser. We don't store it, we don't keep it. But we have 1,700 users in 3 weeks.
Awesome.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So RaptorWrite, I think, is a really good way because I think it's time for authors to start learning. There's no magic. They've been working with different programs and stuff have come out. And because they hide the prompt for you, it makes it seem like there's memory or there's some magical, mystical thing. We give you the prompts to start off with. You can change the prompt, of course. And that starts teaching authors, I just have to put the information in my prompt. It's just text. There's no magic coding or anything. Like with prompting, if you need the AI to know something, you just stick it in the prompt. You don't have to do a RAG or a vector a vector database or anything like that. That's like for really corporate, big, advanced things. When you're, I call it like an ad hoc, like I just need you to know that my character's name is Tony.
Yeah.
Not Jack.
Yeah, I think that where some of this other stuff we were talking about helps out is just like my sheer laziness. Like I don't want to have to rewrite that every time.
No.
And cut and paste it, right? So the more that you can kind of have, let it to know, like on this particular prompt, I want you to go do these 3 tasks. That information is over here in the project.
You just toggle it on and it does it, and then it'll do the task, and then it exports to Word, it exports to TXT, and it exports to Markdown. People can get just the individual files. They can get all the files individually, or they can get all the files in one file. Like if you have like a whole manuscript, so like you have chapter 1 through 40, you can click the little export button and it'll put it all into, they'll be separated by hyphens, so you can bring it right into Vellum or right into Atticus or whatever you like to format.
Oh, cool.
Down the road, maybe we'll have formatting, but like right now I'm trying to just fill the gaps that are there rather than trying to do stuff that people already do really well. Like I love Vellum, I love Atticus.
Yeah, I mean they're there and they have to, they have their own deals that they have to keep up with updating stuff. You've got enough just trying to keep up with all the updates these
Yes,
LLMs
I have enough.
and how much that messes up your programming.
I have enough. I'm not even a programmer.
Yeah.
I'm just making this happen with a good developer friend of mine.
So before we wrap up, and this is probably going to take us a little bit, but there's been conversations about indie authors being able to allow LLMs to learn on their books. There was the Draft to Digital survey. And, people have their opinions about this. And, the reason I was interested in it is I had people asking me with the signing store, because we have book files on there, and people's minds go to really crazy places, and they're like, "Are you going to use this to train it, AI?" And I'm like, "I'm just storing the files so I can give them to the guy to print for you. Like it's not.
Yeah.
This is just a convenience thing." So like, we went and we put out and said, "No, this is what your books are doing here. There, you can take them down anytime you want. All we're doing is facilitating a mass print job with one printer so that we can have, the cost savings of that." But I understand both sides of the situation. Some people are very concerned about this, that they're going to have their, books used in these large language models, and other people that are pissed because they can't get the opportunity to get paid to have their stuff learned. Use in learning. So like, I'm just interested to hear what you've been hearing out on the streets.
I think you summarized it pretty well. I think there was a lot of people in the AI Writing for Authors Facebook group that has over 6,000 members who were really frustrated that like almost 50%, more than 50% said yes or maybe on that they want it. But it was the minority, like 42% or 45% that said no, that kind of won is how they felt about it. But I don't really think I don't think that's the right way to characterize it. Draft to Digital is an amazing company. I've known them for years. I publish with them, and we're publishing with them even more so with our some projects that we have cooking right now. I think that they're in a tough position in that, when you get to where they are, you kind of have to sometimes go with what the minority wants. You have to wait for them to kind of like get comfortable with it before you can move in that direction, because certainly I would not wish for Draft to Digital to lose 45% of the people using their platform. I wouldn't wish that. Okay, there are a few people I might wish that on, but not Draft to Digital. I'm just being real here, real. However, here's the reality. It doesn't matter. It's too late.
Yeah.
Penguin Random House already has an internally trained model that was in Jane Friedman's hot sheet, but I actually knew about it last year because some friends of ours are employees over there. Ghostwriters had their contracts changed last year for this year, that it had to allow training on their writing or they weren't going to be re-signed for this year. It's too late. There's so much synthetic data out there now. And I think the big thing is that authors don't fundamentally understand what training is. They think that they must have my books for the AI to write well. The AI just looks at your books to understand what frequency are your words. How close is Ladybird to Knight, or how close is Joe to Jack? And then it uses that data to assign relationships in a vector field, like a galaxy of stars. And then later on, the LLM uses the relationships from all of the training data to make those predictions of what token comes next. It's so far removed from where the first product was to what it does. I'm actually one of the few authors that believes it's fully fair use. I don't know that money's actually going to change hands. I know they're doing some licensing deals. I don't know what's going to happen with the court cases. If money does change hands, great. It's not going to change anything. But personally, I think it's fair use, and I think it's just too late to really kind of organize that. Now, it might not be too late for small models. So that's the new thing. We probably aren't going to see big, huge models anymore because the cost to train them's too expensive.
Yeah.
So everyone's now moving to these smaller models that are like 22 billion parameters, 12 billion parameters, and then making them like an expert. Now, niche training, that might be an opportunity for indies, and maybe like a group of, say, 20 or 50 cozy mystery authors could band together if they've got enough of a catalog or whatever that they could work with a developer. We have plans for that maybe for next year for the Future Fiction Academy. I'm just starting to get into what it takes to train our own models and stuff like that. So that's on my 2025 list.
Yeah.
But
no, I would back you up on that prediction that where it's going is authors that are into this, they're going to work together to do some type of co-op and go just so you could get that base model trained, right?
Yes.
And then Timmy can go over here and use it for, do the next step to get it so it's really horror centric, and you can do it where it's more romance centric.
Yeah,
right?
and the research I want to do is we may not even need to train a base model because that's where it's expensive and takes time. We might be able to take a base model that's open source, like say Mistral Nemo, and then just with a lot of fine tuning, we can get it to where it needs to be because the base is good enough. So it's still open, like fine tuning Mistral just got here 6 weeks ago, guys. I'm working on it. It's literally just got here.
Yeah, no, I just know from some of the stuff that I've been involved in working on that just to get that so that you can deal with the issues you talked about earlier of like, hey, I'm writing stuff that is, going to get guardrailed on other platforms.
Yes.
But also just dealing with it, having it so I have a base model that isn't changing every 15 minutes so that what I've laid on top of it doesn't have to be recoded every week.
That is true.
Right.
That is true. So
Right.
even if we did fine tune, say, Mistral Nemo, well, next year it's going to be different, and you have to kind of like start all over again. So that's where it does maybe make sense to invest in a base model. I think we'll probably end up doing both. I think for where we are right now in the industry, it probably makes sense to do both, and then we'll eventually get to like we have our own models in the FFA kind of a thing.
Yeah, I really see that. I know that's where it's
Yeah.
going to go, right? It's because, the ability to have it where like, hey, what it's doing for me is like, it gets me 80% of what I want. I can't deal with it changing every 3 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll come back every year. We'll do a big refit. We'll maybe have to do refactor
it a little bit. Yeah.
But that means I only have to pay a developer once a year versus once every 6 weeks.
Now that's an interesting concept of like big authors having like their own developer, like almost like you have your own person who does your emails and things like, no, I have my AI, my machine learning specialist that just once a year helps me get my model on track. I could see that future happening for sure.
Well, it's being worked.
Yeah, it's already happening. I know.
Yeah.
We can't say everything on the podcast, Joe.
I know, but I mean, that's what people who are, I'm open to however you want to do your thing. Like if you want to write with a quill pen, God bless America, go do it. Right. Whatever is right for your creative process. Yeah. But what's going on with people that are using these models for whatever it might be, yes, some human being is probably losing a job over it. But that's been the entirety of the human economy since its beginning. It's like if you want to be the last guy on a whaling ship, God bless, you could have been that guy, but like things change. So I'm just saying that the people that have embraced this stuff, for whatever they're using it for, whether it's productivity or the creativity, the way this is going to be going is so fundamentally different today from when you and I talked about this
6 months ago.
Well, and yeah, just think about the first time that you you showed pseudo-right to people at this conference 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And their minds were blown.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, that's so.
I know. Like, it's so funny because, like, last night at the Tiki Bar, people are coming up to me and they're like, I think I need to do this AI stuff and everything like that. And, like, I think it's, like, really big this year. And people are publishing with it. And, like, they ask me, like, when did you publish with it? And I'm like, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
2021 was the first time I published a book with AI in it.
Yeah. We've got a speaker at, he's a keynote speaker, a guy named Drew Davis. His big thing he's doing the first opening session, right after the opening session, is a thing called Curiosity Factor. It's right, which is really cool. But he has another one that's called the Digital Doppelganger, which even if you never ever are going to write with AI, you've just decided that's against your principles.
Yeah.
He is going to show you how he has taken these tools into his business.
That makes sense.
Right? To the point where it's going to be, I don't want to spoil it. I've seen the presentation.
Come to Vegas.
Yeah, just be there.
there.
But you'll come out of that session transformed in how you think about how you're going to apply it. Even if you are the person that wants to write with a quill pen, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to write my books with the quill pen and my ink well, but all this other stuff, I'm going to think about how I can integrate that into a process.
Yeah, and even in the writing process in the Future Fiction Academy, we've said use AI for your pinch point. If your pinch point is writing blurbs, use AI to write your blurbs. If your pinch point is making outlines, do it there. I mean, some people use AI just for adding those sensory details because they might be autistic or have some struggles there. Like, people are using AI in a lot of different ways, and it's not just click a button, get a book.
Yeah.
Now, I am working on click a button, get a book only because I know that technology is a threat to us and I want to make sure indies have it if they need to use it. And I know I get I get a lot of hate for it. We're not going to lie. I get a lot of hate for it. But somebody has to protect us. I'm not going to lose my friends that have been with me for the last 15 years over a new technology that I happen to understand.
True. Well, and here would be my challenge to somebody with kind of the stuff we've talked about on this podcast. It's like, if there's something that is your pinch point, something that you detest doing or you feel you're really weak at, think how you can use this tool. And even if you plan to not use it long term, how does it help you structure and think through a better process? Like, just have it as, go on whatever you have access to, there's ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and ask it those questions. How could I be better at this? What question should I ask every time I do this? Like, just see how, even if you never use it for the actual thing we're talking about, how it changes your thinking.
Yes.
How it makes you tap into your unconsciousness and get things out that are there already, but wouldn't come out any other way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best prompt to have is, how do I prompt you to do XYZ? That's the only prompt you really need to get started on any platform that you're using. And you'll see like different keywords and things like that. But these newer models are so smart. Well, okay, I hate calling them smart. These new models are so well trained that they can actually now explain to you how to prompt them to do the thing that you want to do.
Oh, yeah. So when I was at Social Media Marketing World last February, I think it was, one of the guy who does, I can't remember his name, the marketing AI guy, he was like, yeah, anybody who thinks they're going to be a great prompt engineer, sorry.
Oh, I would beg to differ with him on that. But
yeah, this has already got you beat. Like, and he went through this whole process of showing, like, I consider myself a really good prompt engineer. This is what I came up with. And then I ran it through the system, and this is its prompt, and this is the result it came back with. And
so this is a funny thing that has come up a couple of times in the last week. So a lot of times people can't prompt because they may be more engineering focused. Steph Pajonis, one of my business partners, her husband works for AWS, and there was a situation where a client was trying to do something. Everyone's moving from OpenAI to Anthropic because AWS is sponsoring Anthropic, and they're like trying to code this problem and everything like that. And Steph's like, all you have to do is give it an example of the format you want in the prompt, and it'll do it. And he's like, her husband was like, what? And they test it and it works. And it's because we're language experts. And a lot of the people, they're very brilliant in engineering and coding and stuff like that. But they may not have taken the English courses, perhaps as many as I took, or, you know, snuck the novel under their bed covers and stuff growing
Yeah.
up. And so there's a real, you need to have a mastery of language, particularly. We were playing when Strawberry came out, and the big thing was like, can it just code Tetris for you, right? And Ikel O'Hara, who runs Future Fiction Factory, was like, I've been watching all these videos and they can't do it. They can't do it. I'm like, Claude's been able to do that for 6 months. Watch this. And I didn't say, make me Tetris. I said, I want a puzzle game where pieces fall, where each piece is made of 4 blocks. The shapes of the blocks are squares, 2 by, like, I literally explained the game of Tetris of what I wanted instead of just saying, give me Tetris. And that worked. I coded Tetris live
Wow.
in the Future Fiction Academy, and we were playing Tetris. So it's this gulf, and creatives have an opportunity to step into this space and maybe not be expert prompters, but take prompting to a different place that people don't think it can go. And these models can't do that because they're trained, but they also are trained like very logical, think this way. And a creative person can take that prompt to a whole nother space that was never even thought of.
Very cool. Very
Yep.
cool. All right, Elizabeth, it was great having you on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can go hang out at the beach.
Actually, no, we're going to go flying.
Awesome.
Yeah, Nathan Van Coops is taking us all flying over the beach. So that's our next thing.
All right.
Yeah. And then I'll see you in a couple of weeks in Vegas.
See you there.
All right. And see you guys there.
Bye.
Bye.